Hey, 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 and welcome back to the Fully Booked Photographer. And the four amigos are here again. Are we the amigos or the musketeers, guys? Which do you prefer?
Yeah, we interchange.
I'm happy with either, personally. The amigos.
And if we look at our teams, we call ourselves the difference makers chat, right?
We do.
So maybe, yeah. So the amigos, the musketeers are the difference makers. Tough decision, eh? We'll have to figure out how to put all that together. Anyway, this podcast, we're now getting the last lens out of your bag, which is your prime lens. And before we came on, we were joking because there's three of us on this podcast, as you guys know, are not photographers. And Janine is the only one who knows what a prime lens is. But we do use it. We do use it as part of this planning process to link your prime lens to your mission. So Bradley, with his history, his love of history and his qualifications in history, and he loves everything history, is going to talk to us about mission. But before we do that, we want to talk about what a prime lens is used for in photography. And then we're going to see if we can connect the dots between mission and prime lens. Janine, would you like to talk to us about when a photographer might use a prime lens? And don't quote what Brad said a little bit earlier, please.
Sure, Ronan. So a prime lens is essentially the opposite of a zoom lens. It's a single focal length lens. And a lot of photographers might choose it because of the optical quality. There's no moving parts. So the focus is on the glass. It can be lighter weight. It's a smaller lens. And so it's a lot easier to carry around in your bag and on your camera, and it's not as heavy. But mostly it's because of the optical qualities of it. And a lot of photographers truly believe that it gives you a better picture, better image, a higher quality image. But then also most prime lenses can go to a higher or a lower aperture so that you can shoot wider open and really blow out your backgrounds if you want to. And so whereas a zoom lens, there's usually an aperture range that it's limited to. And with a prime lens, you can get a much wider aperture. And so those are the reasons why photographers might choose a prime lens in their toolkit to use for a photography session. Of course, you then become the human zoom, which I always laugh about. So if you're shooting a prime lens, you have to walk back and forth to get what you want in focus. You can't use the lens to do that.
Oh, that sounds like a fitness workout.
It is. That's why I say I shoot a prime lens, because photography is my cardio.
Yeah. Cool. So you use a prime lens quite often then? I
only use prime lenses in the studio. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm definitely not going to say what Brad said earlier.
Yeah, don't say what Brad said earlier.
All right. So, which is funny coming from Brad because he's not a photographer. So how he would know is beyond me. But anyway, let's just talk about, so what you've told us about the prime lens, right? It sounds like it allows you to be very focused on what you're doing, right? In terms of what you're trying to capture, but making sure that it's of the utmost quality.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, Bradley, or Brad. I feel like when we're talking history, I should call you Bradley rather than Brad. So,
Sir Bradley.
Sir Bradley. It sounds much more important, doesn't it?
It does sound much more important.
So, Sir Bradley, we hear a lot about these companies and businesses, of all sizes, and they have their mission statement. But then when you talk to people who work in the organization, you say, so what is your mission statement? They can't tell you, right? Because it's just a group of words that mean nothing. But the definition of a mission is more than just a statement, right? It has a goal and it's measurable and all that. So in your military expertise from studying military history, can you explain to us what the difference is between, say, a mission and an overall vision of an end outcome?
Of course I can, Ronan. And as always, I'm very honoured that I get to speak about the thing that I love the most, history. Should really have a history podcast. But yeah, so And in the terms of the Second World War, vision is the overarching thing that you want to achieve. That the vision is the end goal. So part of the vision for the Allied powers was to rid Nazi occupation of Europe. Not just Western Europe, but all Europe. And then the missions are what breaks down the little integral parts that all fed into that greater vision, whether they failed or succeeded. So Operation Husky, the Allied invasion of Sicily, to take back the island and obviously pave the way to reclaim Italy from the fascist powers of Mussolini's Italy and the Nazi Party. That was a success. Operation Overlord, where the Allies launched the invasion of Normandy. That was a success. And a failure was Operation Market Garden, where the Allies and British paratroopers tried to capture 11 bridges in Netherlands and I suppose the Lower Rhineland, but were thwarted and pushed back. But that didn't mean that the overall vision wasn't still achieved.
So I think what you're telling us, Brad, is that the mission can change, right? So just as Janine is moving, having her workout with her prime lens, yes, right? To she's moving all the time to create that perfect image, right, with her prime lens. Each mission in this context of the war was for an overall achievement, but they were all individual missions, right?
Yes. There's lots of small steps, small victories you have to make in order to achieve that greater vision. And that greater vision is what you're fixating on. I suppose Elon Musk does this right now because, he's focused on putting not just man on Mars, but human settlement on Mars. So I suppose every day, if he has to make a decision, he'll ask himself, is this going to put humans on Mars quicker? Yes or no? If it's no, he's not going to prioritize it. If it's yes, he is. And then all his individual little missions he does, like launching all these rockets, and what he does in Tesla and what he does in the Boring Company, all that will play into his grand scheme or grand vision of human habitation of Mars.
That's a great example, Brad, because we only last weekend, right? When we were filming this podcast, it was last weekend. He had the second big booster rocket, taken off. That in itself is a mission. They don't expect it to get to Mars yet. It's part of building out what they need it to be. So it was the second test and it blew up as everyone knows, right? But they were really happy with it because the rockets themselves or the boosters themselves apparently performed way better than the first one. So that's just a mission on the goal to populating Mars to fulfill the vision.
Yeah. And missions can fail. Missions are supposed to fail at times. Missions in my own business, like launching a marketing campaign for Boudoir at Christmas, or to sell Christmas vouchers. That is a really tiny mission to service my greater vision. And whether that mission will succeed or fail, I don't know. Give it a month. I'll find out. And I'll work on it to make it work. But if it fails, that's fine. You've got data. With missions, you're always going to gather data and understand what worked, what didn't work, how you can pivot, what you can do moving forward. And then, change a plan and then attack it with a new mission.
So, Janine, before we talk more about the mission, I think we should link back to the other lenses that we've gone through, right, over the last number of things. And you being the photographer, I think it'd be better if you explained each lens. So let's just pick a lens, Janine, and then we link it to the business planning process.
Okay. Well, I can't remember the order that you went in. However, we could start with a wide angle lens, right? So, which could also, by the way, be a prime lens if it's a wide angle fixed length focal length lens, not to confuse you or anything.
Oh, Janine, you're really going to confuse us now. So we'll keep them separate for now, right? We'll keep them separate for now.
Yes. Okay. So a wide angle lens.
So that's the vision, right? So you're using your wide angle lens if you're going to take a big landscape, right? So that's the 5-year vision that we talked about. And then we had the macro lens. Janine, do you remember what that was about?
Oh no, you're doing this in reverse here. I'm supposed to name the lens, and you're supposed to tell us what it's about. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Okay, so next we had the macro lens, which allows you to bring it allows you to bring something very detailed into focus, and it's special glass in order to do that.
And we explained that the macro lens often captures what we can't see with the naked eye, so the inside of a flower or whatever. And we linked that in that podcast to your why. You know, what's your passion? What's your why? What's your purpose? And all that side of things. And then we had the zoom lens. Do you remember that one, Janine?
Again, you did that in reverse. So next, Ronan, we had the zoom lens, which allows you to zoom in and out of what you want to have as the subject.
Okay. So.
Well, you didn't say what the zoom lens does.
When we talk.
How does it relate to the business plan?
Oh, what the zoom? So the zoom lens. Oh, thank you. Yes. So it allows us to zoom in. So we have our wide angle vision, right? So just like Elon Musk has the wide angle vision of wanting to populate Mars. So he zoomed in to say, right, well, I need to create a rocket that can go to Mars and carry people to Mars. But before I put people on a rocket to send them to Mars, we need to make sure that the rocket is safe, that the people don't blow up.
That would be nice.
On takeoff, right? So he's now on stage 2 of testing the rocket to make sure that when it's ready to go, that not only can it get to Mars, but that the people will be safe on board too.
So in other words, it allows you to create your 1-year plan, and then your quarterly plans, and your monthly plans, and your weekly plans, and your daily tasks to achieve those.
And your individual campaigns, as Brad was talking about. Exactly. So, but Brad, there's something else we need to talk about Elon Musk, right? Because you've linked his vision to his mission. But what's his why? Why does he want to populate Mars?
He wants to make sure the human species lives for as long as it possibly can. And putting us on 2 planets is the best way to do that.
Yeah, because he doesn't want us to end up like the dinosaurs, right?
Yeah.
That a meteoroid hits and wipes mankind out. So by doing that, he's done, and I can't remember the exact mathematical equation, but the chances of humankind being wiped out if we do populate Mars, it's 0.000001, whatever that is, of a chance, while at the moment the percentage chance is much higher. So hopefully you guys get to hear this podcast, because we haven't yet populated Mars. That's a joke. Sorry, that was a really bad joke. Really bad joke. So let's come back to the mission then. So when you're doing your mission, it has to link to your why and your purpose, like we talked about, but it also has to be measurable. So, you know, Janine, we talked about all those mission statements that companies create and they end up in a drawer and nobody even knows what they are, right? Because they mean nothing, because they're not measurable, right? So we help our members when they're doing this is that they link their mission into an actual measurable number linked to their why. So do you guys think we should share one of our clients' whys? Are their missions to link with that?
Their mission statement.
Their mission statement. So we recommend that you change your mission statement every single month. And the core of your mission statement, that's your why, won't change, but the number might, right? So this is Darren and Rianne, one of our clients in Wales, who have a boudoir studio. And their mission is linked to their why. And their mission is this. So our mission is to empower and uplift 24 women each month. So there's our measurement, right? 24 women, ensuring they feel acknowledged, cherished, and loved for who they are by providing them a transformational boudoir experience that acknowledges their distinctive narratives and inner strength to love and be loved for who they are. So that's now linking their why, yeah, which is about providing women with a transformational boudoir experience that gives them that inner strength to not only love, but be loved for the woman that they are, and which is their why. So we're now linking those two things together. And Janine, that means that each month with their mission, right? So that why part never changes, but the number might change, right?
Yeah, I mean, it allows them to each month, you can have a different focus and still have the overall vision be the same.
So, Roland, I sense you have a formula. Maybe you don't.
I do have a formula, Jonathan. You know me way too well.
Sigh from Janine.
I do have a formula. Of course I have a formula.
Well, I'm just laughing because as Jonathan said that, I looked at the owl, your owl next to you, and he's looking at you with like this cautious eye.
Yeah. So,
he's got one eye on you.
for those who haven't met Quantum, this is Quantum. Quantum's nearly a year old. Janine sent me Quantum last Christmas, right, Janine? So those who are watching on YouTube, he's an amazing owl. So Janine, tell everybody why you sent me an owl, Quantum.
Do you hug your owl? Well, we're the four of us are really into personality profiling, and now he's staring at us. This is great. And so when there's the bird personalities, right? So many people have heard of the DISC personality or the Myers-Briggs and things like that. Well, there's also the bird personalities, and we each did our personality testings, and Ronan is an owl because he's very analytical. And so I saw that owl and I thought of Ronan, and I thought I had to send it to him to be his little mascot. So
Janine, yourself and Brad are not owls, and I saw Brad going to find his. So you better tell everybody what you guys are, the two of you guys are.
We are eagles. So
tell us about eagles. What's great about eagles?
They're the ultimate predator, Ronan. They're a beautiful bird that fly in the sky and soar high above all. They're our national bird too, by the way.
But in personality terms, what does an eagle mean? Brad, you tell us what an eagle means in personality sense.
Generally, they're quite steadfast, quite stoic. It can be often described as cold or unfeeling. Generally low on that emotional spectrum, but can, like I said, are steadfast, so can make decisions quite fast. Can be a bit overbearing at times. Can come across as a bit arrogant or rude. I'm working on that.
So highly driven, yeah?
Yeah, and driven as well, yeah, but very driven, logical as well. Quite similar to owls in that sense, logic driven.
Risk adverse.
Yes.
Let's just do it. Let's just go for it without thinking it fully true.
I would prefer to phrase it as risk does not scare us.
Yeah, that's a whole podcast in itself. We're going to have to do one on risk.
I'll just put something here. Over the weekend, I had the wonderful opportunity to listen to a gentleman called Colin Bell speak. Colin served in RAF. He was in Bomber Command. He was a pilot and flew bombing raids for the Allies over Germany. He was 102 years old, absolute hero. I cried during his speak many times. And when asked what his advice for the younger generation would be, is to be bold. Eagles are bold.
Yes, you're very bold child. For the Americans among us and the UK people, in Ireland that means naughty. You naughty child. Bold child.
Bold child.
So Jonathan, you better tell us what bird personality you are.
God, we've really deflected on this podcast, haven't we? I joke, this is like my little bit of peacock coming out, that I'm almost a perfect human because I'm a dove primarily. But when you look at the percentages from the test, right? And I just use that as comedic relief because I'm the most humble person you'll ever meet. I'm 35% dove, 30% peacock, 20% owl, and 15% eagle. So that's why I joke and say if I was a little less dove and a little more eagle and a little less peacock and a little more owl, I'd be the perfect human. But that's just me taking as we say in Ireland, taking the piss, which means not being serious. But yeah, I am 35% dove, which means I'm a harmony seeker. It means I cry very easily because I care about people a lot and I put other people above myself.
You don't like conflict.
I hate conflict. I hate awkward situations. And I cry a lot when when I get emotional very easily.
All right. Good stuff.
I don't actually cry a lot, but if there's a reason to cry, I probably will cry.
And the only reason Jonathan doesn't have a dove is because all the dove stuffed animals look wonky. Right. So I couldn't buy him one. I got him something different instead.
Back to the mission statement.
No, but this is all linked to that because I think it's important to understand it because your mission can be impacted by your personality too, right? And all that. But you asked me, Jonathan, you were being very owly. Your owl was coming out. Is there a framework to this? So, that's why we talked about all the lenses a little bit earlier, because to create your mission statement, which are, being your prime lens, you're sort of bringing together the other lenses to try and do that. So the first step is to reflect on your why. So Janine, what lens was our why?
I don't remember, Ronan. It gets very confusing.
It was the macro. It was the macro, Janine. It was the macro, right? The macro. And then you reflect on your 12-month success business phase. So what business do you want to create in the next 12 months, right? So we've been through that journey already talking about that. And then the next step then is to complete your 1-month mission statement based on your 12-month objectives.
Was the wide angle lens not the why?
No, the macro lens is the why.
What was the wide angle lens?
The wide angle lens is your vision,
okay.
Your 5-year vision.
We need a graphic.
You guys, we're teaching this and you guys don't
I need a graphic.
Yeah, I need a graphic as well.
I need a graphic of the lenses and what they are.
You wrote a book that we don't even have, and we're teaching lenses. And we don't even got the book.
Isn't it cool? Isn't it great? So, Jonathan, here is the sentence. So, guys, I want you to write this down who are listening to the podcast. Our mission is to. 4, and the 4 is the clients each month, by providing them, and complete the sentence. So that's the framework. It's really simple. So our mission is to fill in the blank. 4 blank, which is the clients each month, by providing them blank. Really easy, right?
We should get the formula and on the website put it underneath this podcast episode because it'll make things a lot clearer.
That's what we will do.
Show notes.
Show notes.
We don't have show notes.
Because we are doing the podcast for very visual people.
So like if we take down Rianne's to break it down, so our mission is to empower and uplift 24 women each month, ensuring they feel acknowledged, cherished and loved for who they are, by providing them a transformational Buddha experience that acknowledge their distinctive narratives and inner strength to love and be loved for who they are. So that's the formula. It's really easy, really simple. And when you put all this together, right, and you get your bag of lenses out and you've got your 4 lenses in there, now you've completed part of the planning process, because we've taken that big elephant that we were asked to eat. We went, there's no way I can eat one big elephant, right? We had our wide angle lens out to make sure we capture the picture of the elephant. And then we zoomed in to say, what do we need to do, right? What's the best way to eat this elephant? And we decided one small piece at a time. So let's start with the little toe. Yeah. And then we took that then as one small piece of the elephant to eat, right? Knowing that when we eat that, so we complete our first month of business, right? We can then move on to the next one and then the next one. And then eventually we'll have all the elephant eaten. So effectively we'll have achieved our vision for what we wanted to bring our business to in 5 years' time. But if you think about, Janine, like if you've done this, so you've created your vision for your 5-year business, right? But if you think about just that in the context of the 5-year vision, it can be very, what's the word I'm looking for? You can feel that's a big job to do. There's a word for it, and I know
It's daunting.
Daunting. Daunting's a good word. And there's another word that I can never say, which Jonathan will say. You can feel under so much pressure you're
overwhelmed.
That's the word. I always struggle with. I always struggle to say that. Overwhelmed. And it can stop you from getting started, right, Brad? Have you ever been there? That you see this vision of where you want to get, and it's seems such a big task to make happen that it stops you from getting started. I'm sure at some stage in your life you felt that way.
Oh yeah, 100%. You know, it's quite fun making visions and plans and doing all the big picture things. And then when you break it out to the actual action you have to take today, it can get quite daunting and overwhelming, quite scary. But the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time.
That's what I would say.
And you have to start somewhere. Yeah. And, I'm a big believer in taking massive action. And always trying to do something every day to move you towards a goal. No bad days.
No bad days. One little step at a time, right? Because that's what the journey is.
Yeah.
That's what the journey is. So I'm sure many of our listeners are going, this sounds like a lot of work, but it saves a lot of work, doesn't it? And it saves a lot of heartache in terms of when you do this, you have your compass, right? So you have your compass in which direction you want to go. And as Brad has told us before, that, no plan outlasts first engagement with the enemy. And that's okay, but it's better when you do engage the enemy and you do start pushing forward with your business, that you've thought about where you want to get to, because it won't be a straight road, right, Brad? Outside of China, it's rare you see a really long straight road. You do sometimes in America, I guess, but the Chinese built their roads late, so they go for thousands of miles, just a straight line, literally. Like they drew a straight line on the map and said that's the fastest way to get there. If there's anything in the way, it'll just have to, that house has to go because we're building the road that way. Unlike in Ireland, we have the roads tend to be this way.
People can't see what you're doing, making finger movements. Windy and S-shaped and all over the shop.
Windy, that's the word. Windy and S-shaped and all over the place.
No.
Well, you also don't have thousands of miles to build a road.
Yeah, but there was still a fast way to get there, but local politics took over and that didn't happen because you had to avoid some person's field wouldn't allow you to go through it, when in China they just go through it, right?
We're very unfocused on this podcast. We're going all over the place.
Well, maybe we can't get our lens to work. It's not focusing.
I like it.
We're explaining, this is the last podcast on this business planning process of using your lenses. So we're just trying to bring the last number of episodes all together and mix them all together and figure out but we're also telling people that, yes, it's important to plan so you know which direction you want to get, but it won't be, a straight line. There will be times when you have to pivot, and there'll be some months where you don't have the number of clients that you need, but then you know what you have to make up next month, right, Janine? And you talk this a lot about the advantages to you, Janine, in your planning process in your business, that if you do have a month where you don't reach your target, well, then you and your team just up the target for the next month, right?
Yeah, and it's really important to do that. And when you have your plan in place and you know what your numbers are, and actually sometimes we don't even wait a month if we can see it within a week. If we didn't meet our goals in a week, we try and make that up before the end of the month. And if we don't, then we definitely make it up the following month and we reassess what we need to do. Much better than getting to Q4 and realizing, oh my goodness, we're $100,000 off target. How are we going to do that in a month? Talk about daunting. I would never want to have to do that. So if you can course correct as you're going along, and you can only do that if you have a goal and you have your weekly and monthly plans laid out on how you're going to act on them.
And that's what pulls it all together, So, Jonathan, would you like to share a story or an experience that you've had where by having these measurable goals, right, and thinking it through has helped you?
No. I would not like to share it.
Ah, Jonathan, you wouldn't like to share any. What about you, Brad?
So what you're after in particular, Ronan, a story where I've moved towards goals?
I think a story of where the goal made a difference to the end success, right? That by measuring it meant you got there. Maybe not as quick or as fast as you wanted, but at least it helped you get there because it kept your focus.
Yes. So I'll tell a long story because I can never tell a short one. I used to live my life in notebooks. And the other day I was working with Jonathan and I needed to know something. I knew it was in one of my notebooks and I had to find it. So I was going through all my notebooks, trying to find this thing that I needed. And as a result, I was reading back books that I wrote in 2017. And how I live my life is every night I will sit down and I will write out and try to look around for, at the minute it's on a piece of paper like this. And I'll write out all the things I have to do that day with the times next to them. And I'll highlight in green the ones that are mission critical that I have to get done. And before that, I used to do this all in notebooks. And in 2017, 2016, I found a vision, my vision for my property portfolio, what I wanted to achieve in 10 years, I think it was. And it's fast forwarded now, I don't know, 7 years since then, 8 years since then. And I've not achieved that vision, but I'm significantly further ahead than what I was then because I took stock of everything and I regularly took stock of everything. And I planned and I had action steps in there of how many estate agents I needed to phone and how many viewings I needed to book to buy, how many offers I needed to place to buy this X amount of houses. So yeah, no, it was quite good looking back on that and then appreciating, I suppose, the achievement, that journey, and knowing that, you know, I'm not where I intended to be, but I'm significantly further ahead than I was.
That's interesting because it reminds me of a conversation I had with a member recently, and we were talking about Profit First and implementing it, and it's sort of linked to that, you know. And it was something I heard a while ago, which was the question was asked: so, when was the best time to build a tree? And the answer is 20 years ago. And I said, imagine your tree as your cash reserves. I said, but when's the next best time to plant a tree? Today. You know, because if you haven't planted it 20 years ago and don't have those cash reserves, that doesn't mean you don't start today. You can still plant a tree today. And over time, you will build those cash reserves that you need. So same idea, right?
Yeah. I love how you corrected yourself because you said...
I know, he said build a tree first.
Build a tree. Build a tree.
But everything starts somewhere with some form of grand design.
Yeah.
Some huge vision. And I suppose you always have to dream big. And then it's that journey of actually taking the action every day, doing all those missions, pulling it all together that will get you from one place to the next.
And Brad, we did that. You missed that podcast episode when we were doing the vision and we got into our time machine. Do you remember, Janine?
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Brad missed that one. And we got into our time machine and we went forward 5 years and we got out and we looked around our business and everything else. And so this is now the, you know, like Elon Musk populating Mars, you know, we did that a couple of weeks ago on the podcast.
You know, just a reminder for people, Elon Musk didn't start off where he is now. I mean, pre-PayPal, he was, you know, just a dude, you know, so he started somewhere and had to build from there. And so we all start somewhere. We're not born into it.
There's a Matthew McConaughey quote. Of all people that's influenced my life, I can't believe it's Matthew McConaughey. And I heard it maybe 10 years ago. He was talking about the person that inspires him to take action. And that person is him in 10 years. Him in 10 years inspires him to take action today because he wants to be that man. And I can remember hearing that and just thinking that was wonderful. And I always then aspired to be the best version of myself and envisioned myself in 5 years and 10 years. And I've always chased being that man.
There you go. So guys, on these last series of podcasts on your lens, you should now have figured out your vision, where you want to bring your business over the next 5 years. We brought you on that journey in the Fully Booked Photographer Time Machine. We were there. You saw it. We then discovered what your why is, and your purpose and what this is all about. And when we had our macro lens and we got in on that, then we zoomed in to see what do we need to do in 2024 to achieve that 5-year vision. And then today we've sort of brought that and zoomed in even further using our prime lens to create our mission statement, our monthly mission statement that links our why and our purpose and why we do this with a measurable quantity of clients we want to serve each month. Because we know in the case of the example we gave, and Dan and Rianne know, that when they make a difference to 24 clients every single month, they will achieve their goal for this year, which is the first step to that 5-year vision that they have.
And Ronan,
So we hope
the fastest way for our listeners to get those clients is using the MIFKI. The MIFKI.
What's the MIFKI, Jonathan?
The MIFKI is incredible. It actually is incredible. Incredible is in the MIFKI. The MIFKI, MIFGE, stands for Most Incredible Free Gift Ever. And the Fully Booked Photographer team have a MIFKI just for you. See, when you say maybe, that's all you have to say is maybe, and you subscribe to a free 30-day trial of the Fully Booked Engine, which is the best marketing software on the planet for fast-tracking your success as a photographer, we are going to gift you free lifetime access to the Fully Booked Challenge training, which is going to help you implement and deploy our Facebook ad strategy that has generated, we talked about this number this morning, but in excess of $3 million for our members. We are going to give you free lifetime access to the community of like-minded photographers where you can ask questions and ask the mentors questions and network with other photographers. And we're going to give you free lifetime access to seeing our faces every Monday on our weekly Q&A call on Zoom, where you can come and you will face challenges, but those calls are going to be perfect for you to overcome those obstacles and challenges. Free lifetime access to those 3 things when you just say maybe and test drive the Fully Booked Engine. And the reason why we're doing that is because we know our system works. Our members have proven that. The mentors prove that day to day. And we know that when we help you get success, not only will you want to use the Fully Booked Engine in your business forever, you'll also want to join our Inner High program and work more closely with the team and with the other members to get you to where you want to be. But it all starts with the MIFKI. Go get it now.
Jonathan was pointing downwards for those of us who are just listening. So just press that button right underneath here. And don't forget to tell all of your photography friends, right, about the MIFKI, because it truly is the most incredible free gift ever. So from us, bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
See y'all soon.
Goodbye, everybody.